Hey guys, welcome to the Kids Inc. podcast. I am your host, Susan Yeager, and this is episode lucky number 13, part 1. And boy, have I got a surprise for you guys. You talk about something special coming your way. I really hope you guys are surprised and love this as much as I am loving bringing it to you. Guys, right now it's September 14th, and tomorrow is the Kids Inc. podcast birthday. The podcast turns 1 year old. So believe it or not, it has been a whole year since I gathered up my nerve and thought, I wonder if there are any fans out there that would like to hear my stories, that would like to hear more about Kids Incorporated. And I just ran with it, and you guys have been unbelievable. I cannot tell you how much your love and support and just being a fan of Kids Incorporated and reaching out to me and telling me that this podcast has brought you joy. I am so excited and I am so happy and I am so thrilled to celebrate the podcast's first birthday. So I've got something really, really special for you guys, and then I'm going to shut up and let you guys enjoy this, and I will come back to you at the end of the broadcast. But what I did was I got Tom Lynch, Moosey Dreyer, Jerry Sherrill, and Brian Poth, 4 of the first people the podcast interviewed this year in honor of Kids Incorporated, 3 cast members and 1 producer, the Uber producer Tom Lynch, all reunited just for the podcast's first birthday. I can't believe it. Much love to these guys. Thank you so much for doing this for me and for the fans. And without further ado, you guys, let's be a fly on the wall and listen to this really fun conversation. I'll be back at the end. See you soon. We're getting another person. Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, Susan.
Everyone's coming at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Hello. Brian and I were just saying we're nervous. I don't know why we're so nervous.
I'm nervous.
Moosey.
Oh my God, it's Moosey.
Tommy Lynch in the flesh. And Brian, how are you?
Hi.
Hi, everybody. And there's Jerry.
Hey, Jerry. Look
We
at
win.
you guys. Oh, my
Jerry
God.
Sherrill.
Oh my gosh. You guys, I've been emotional this weekend. I don't know why. And now all of a sudden I just want to cry. It's so good to see everybody.
Well, you guys all look so young, and there's this old guy became this old guy. I don't know how that happened.
Tommy, it's you and I. We're the
It's
We're the
so
ones
good
who-
to see you.
we're the ones who know who Jack Benny is.
Exactly. Jerry,
You're
how
not-
are you? You look well.
Oh,
You're on mute.
wait, your
Mute.
audio's not working, Jerry. Oh, hold on. Jerry's talking. We can't hear him. There's one in every crowd, and this time it's Jerry.
Wow.
Yeah. Hold on. Everybody else seems to be working, though. We're good so far.
Bottom left, go to that arrow next to mute. There should be a drop down. Pick your audio.
Moosey's got it.
And as far as lighting goes, I need Carl Gibson.
What a name.
Great-
Emmy winner on this show, right?
I loved him. Yeah.
Wait.
He's in Palm Springs he retired there, and Jimmy Como. Remember Jimmy?
Of course I remember Jimmy.
And they're doing local theater down there, both retired and
No
still
way.
fighting with each other. They're still yelling at each other. So it's all good.
One's lighting the other and the other's setting.
Exactly.
Let me tell you something about Jimmy
What part of the
Cuomo. I
world are
learned
you
so
living in,
much.
Lucy?
Oh,
What part
what's
of the
that?
world are you in? What part of the world?
I'm in
are
the
you in?
I'm in the Hollywood Hills. I bought a house, this same house 26 years ago.
Nice.
And when I was younger, I moved around so much that as soon as I was able to purchase a home and stay here, it's nice and quiet up here, I didn't want to move again. So I'm just still here.
Good for you, man.
Good.
Good for you. Are you directing?
Yes, I am. I'm about to direct a single camera, one of those Hallmark movies.
Good. Fantastic. Fantastic. That's
I
awesome.
learned multi-camera through you
Mhm.
in that booth.
Right.
Oh, and I was going to say about Jimmy Cuomo. I honestly learned so much in one exchange from him. Because when I got to direct Kids Incorporated, which I owe so much to you, he came up to me one day and he said to me, "Is that your master shot?" And you know how green I was. I'm like, as far as I know, yeah,
It was.
And I realized how important the the art design, the set design was in the master.
Yep.
And how not to how to include, what's so important and have the visual tell the story, just if you were to mute it and just look,
Right.
And I've always brought that with me on any job. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from all you guys,
I think the whole journey was interesting because we all learned so much from each other. Like you actually were the award winner on the show. I mean, you had a couple of Emmys or whatever by the time you got to the show. And I was so paranoid about, I hope they don't fire me. On one hand, I'm acting like, yeah, I know everything, leave me alone. And inside, I'm like, I don't know a thing about what I'm doing. I hope this works.
Tommy, you knew exactly what you were doing. You were so good. You were such a great showrunner. Honest to goodness. There he is.
We have audio.
Okay, we got you now.
Can you hear me? Because I'm on
Yes.
a new. Okay, wait. So I'm on a new computer, and this is my first Zoom. So all the settings were like effed up. So now I'm clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jerry, you look great. You look
Thank
great,
you.
my friend.
Thank you, guys.
Look at you.
Thank you.
I think the consensus from when I talked to everybody was Tommy was so young. None of us realized at the time how young you were until we got older.
Like I was 24, 25 or something, right?
It's insane.
What a success story.
I didn't realize how young you were because you're not thinking of age when you're 13 or 14. But I remember my mother talking to my dad about it.
Right.
Because you were new, obviously, from the pilot to then the series. And I remember my mother talking, there's a teenager running this show. I just remember her saying that, and I was like, oh, well, he's young, but I don't know, it's cool. Fine, I'm fine.
Well, I had been doing music videos, directing music videos up until that point. So it was kind of it. And I remember when I saw the first, whatever that pilot was, I'm not too sure what that first thing was. In my mind was they were making music videos out of songs. I think the Police, you sang one song was a Police song or something like that. Yeah. I was like, no. This has to connect with story. We have to tell a story here. And it was really 42nd Street. I'd been in New York and I'd seen 42nd Street. I went, yeah, that's what this should be. Yeah. And that was really the kind of what led it. And the oddest thing about the show to me was the key mistake I made, and I apologize so much for this now, was that I wanted to do Menudo, where the oldest one went out and the youngest one came in. And Jerry, I am so fucking sorry about that because I shouldn't have done that. And I apologize publicly, wherever. That was a mistake. And so I'm so sorry for that.
It's okay. And going through that, then I've talked about this before. I realized it was kind of like this Menudo thing. I also know that I grew, I think 4 inches over that break anyway. So I would have been towering over Stacy even more so than I already was in the show. And I just remember thinking, to me, I don't know if you can remember this, Tommy, but I remember complaining a lot about, I was a complainer. I was complaining a lot about the scripts being really young all of a sudden, because we had started taping and we had done like ones that were really about the band, and like Gloria wanting to be in this like part of this high school society hitch, and I wanted to lead the band and I wanted to lead it my way. And then we started doing the younger shows, and I remember asking, why are we doing this? Why am I talking to a leprechaun and a robot and you guys had explained to me, because I was just like, what the hell? I thought that she's going to be Fame. I thought this was going to be like a younger Fame, and now here I am with a freaking robot. And you guys said to me, well, the research is in now. We're on the air now, and the research is in, and it's the people watching are like 4 to 12 years old.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit. Okay, well, let's roll it.
Well, to speak to that, Jerry, I totally understand that, because even though I wasn't, I was definitely clearly older than you guys. I sort of had a feeling too for a minute, early on about the things you just said. However, then you grow up to realize, well, wait a minute. So when we were that age, when we're young, you want to be older. You want to be cooler. You want to be all these things, you know. Now we just want to be young, but you know, and then once you realize who your demographic is and how important these messages were, you know, it's funny. I'm doing a show right now that I kind of equate to Kids Incorporated, and I kind of call it the Flintstone vitamin of entertainment. What I mean by that is, like, you know, it's wrapped up in a fun, colorful, comedic package, but the messages are poignant and layered and important. And that's what Kids Incorporated was. And until I realized that, I sort of felt similar to you. And Brian, you can't be this quiet in real life, young man.
He'll
Yeah,
chime
Brian,
in.
if you don't jump in, you ain't gonna be heard.
No, I'm so
this crowd.
They'll just talk.
I
forever.
said this before we started today, and probably like before. I was such a fan of Kids Incorporated. Like, I could not believe, because by the time I got on as a dancer, it was season 4. So I had been watching the show like religiously, you know, and so to get on the show was like a dream come true. It never really felt real. And then there was never any record of it, like, until recently, because none of it, you can't see it. It didn't air. It wasn't, you know, once it was over, it was over.
Right.
But now, I mean, whoever's in charge of like going back in the time machine, like figuring out how to remaster these like tapes, it's like watching it, it's really cool.
It's a weird thing has happened to the show. I got a call about 2 months ago from Vanity Fair that was saying, like, they wanted to do a story, that whole thing on Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie as Ken and Barbie. And the story was, what were 80 stars, kid stars, now they're movie stars, right? That kind of thing. And so the woman got my name and whatever, the writer, and she called up and, you know, we talked about it. We talked about Kids Incorporated, and it turned into an article more about Kids Incorporated and about how that was the first of all these shows.
Yeah.
That then from that, and I actually said, the Mickey Mouse Club came because Disney hated the fact that MGM had rights to the show. That's what killed Kids Incorporated. It wasn't a rating. It was Disney doing what Disney does. And they actually put in the headline that Kids Incorporated created the teen star process. Disney perfected it. I'm like, okay, I'll live with that. I'll go with that one.
Yeah.
That was
Listen,
cool.
Yeah.
There were enough Kids Incorporated references on Glee to know that you had a successful show.
Yeah.
I ran into Ryan Murphy one time, and someone said that, and he said, "Oh, Kids Incorporated." And I wanted to say, "You mother." Pardon me. I should have, but I didn't. I was polite and graceful, like. And he said, "Oh, yeah, Kids Incorporated. That was lovely." And I'm thinking, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
But it was, you know, it was such for all of us, like, you know, Moosey, you already had a career. And what the thing about Moosey, which was so vital for me, was I needed an adult around that wasn't a creepy adult. Like, somebody had to be an adult in that room, and anybody, like, everybody that came in for the role was like too old or too weird. It was too creepy. And when Moosey came in for it, it was like, yeah, he's kind of at that perfect age where you feel safe with him, but he's not weird or anything. And it was, you really had that great restraint of the comedy played so much off of you because you didn't reach for the joke. You played it. It was really interesting how you did it. And I've used you as a reference a lot where I've said, don't reach for the joke. The material's there. Just let it play. Just let it play. Don't go reach for it. And you were actually, And
Trust.
I thought, where's this going anyways? Is this going like on a podcast or something?
Yes.
Right. Because I thought at one point that Jerry and Martika were going to kill each other. I swear to God. They were like the Tracy and Hepburn of pop music stars. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Every time.
I can confirm that it was near.
You had such a musical language, Jerry, at such a young age. You had an understanding of music and composition and staging. You kind of were beyond your years in that.
Yeah.
God love her.
Yeah.
Where's the light? Where's the camera? Where's it at?
She was very ready for the light and the camera, and I was very like, I remember I had talked about this before. I would bring in records to your offices,
right?
And I would play with the music supervisor. I would bring a crate. My mom would drop me off, and I'd go into the offices. And if I wasn't in a scene that day or something, or if I wasn't on the stage, I'd be playing records with the guy. We would just spin records in there. Rasan would walk in. You'd go, put that on the show. What is it? Find that one and do that one. And yeah, they got to sing it together. And you know, it was hysterical.
You introduced me to Prince. I think that you were playing Prince. I Would Die for You. And it was like, it blew my mind. That song was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, that's
Yeah.
such a kids song for us.
I just
all.
remember bringing in like Pointer Sisters and
Mhm.
Olivia, and
Right,
just,
right,
I was
right,
like, oh, we should do
right.
this, we should do this, we should do this,
Right.
because I was crazy music brain. I was a jukebox, so I
What?
I forget who the music supervisor was then, but I look back and I think, oh, that poor guy must have thought, what the frick is this kid doing in my office and taking my job?
Well, Jerry, do you remember, and Tom, how did they pick who sang what? I know a lot of it was lent to what was in the script, but how
Yeah.
did they figure everything else out?
I think it was definitely Michael Cruz, and I think Jerry had a big voice in it because Jerry was like the spokesman of music in the group there. Jerry had a musical language that was beyond mine as far as what records and keys and all that stuff. And Michael Cruz really ran all of that. Michael
Yeah.
really had his handle on that. And obviously the scripts would be, this is featuring Jerry, this is featuring a song, this is featuring someone, and then
Yeah.
he would work the parts out around that. That's
A
kind
lot of that would come from, obviously, the production number is about the story, and this this solo moment is about the story. And sometimes the songs and concerts, maybe at least the last one, would be about the story, but the other ones were just, oh, let's open with this Rick Springfield, Jerry, you're singing it. Oh, let's open
Right.
with this Sheila E, Martika, you do it. And I had said before, you know, a lot of times Marta and I would be doing the leads, vocals on that stuff, because we were 1-2 takes, we were out the door.
Right.
Where
You
some
guys
of the
were
other kids,
skilled. You guys
it
were
would take
very
longer.
skilled.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
very skilled on that. You knew young age on that. Now,
Yeah.
Brian, when
My
you
goodness.
showed up, who was the choreographer when you showed up? Was
Doreen.
it
Lorraine.
Yeah.
Doreen?
Doreen. Yeah, she was there 4 and 5, and then I think, was she there in 6?
Lester showed up.
No.
Lester Wilson
Lester showed up.
somewhere along the way at that place.
Yeah, and I had met Doreen doing an episode of Mr. Belvedere.
Uh-huh.
And she was Doreen, you know, you just fell in love with her, and I just like idolized her. I had never been worked so hard in my life, and it made you want to just do better. She made you want to do more, do better, be faster, stop chewing your nails, all the stuff that
Right.
like
But she is the first woman other than my mother that I was afraid of.
Yeah.
I got to go with Jerry on this. I
Yeah.
would walk down to the stage to see rehearsals, and I would hear this tone of voice and literally do a U-turn and go back to my office.
Yeah. No,
Let that stay there. Let that go.
she scared the hell out of me. And also because, as everyone will know, I'm not a dancer, I'm not a trained dancer, and she was stuck with me. And so I remember telling her, and telling probably you too, Tommy, like on the second episode, guys, don't put me in production numbers, don't have me sing them, because I can't dance. And if you do, I'm standing in the back, because I cannot learn those. My mind could not. I was not coordinated. Fine to free dance and trying to do the stuff on the stage.
Right.
Production numbers. But when we did the pilot, again, I'm a year younger then.
Right.
She had, they invented the bullhorn for her on the set of the pilot. And
I'm still seeing a hearing specialist.
and also because of me, and 2, they gave her a prop rifle that
Ooh.
she would follow me with. And
Right.
because during the pilot, I got the pilot without dancing. I got that based just on singing. She would be like, rock this town, rock you inside out, jump, rock this town, rock you inside out, jump, Jerry, jump, with the bullhorn and the gun. And I'm going,
I can hear her
Yes.
in the episodes that I'm in. I can still hear like Stacy, smile, kids, like all this stuff, you know, raise your arms, Brian, stop doing that, go, you know.
Well, just if the fans don't know, in Hit Me With Your Best Shot, you can see her sitting in the audience on the bleachers with her microphone, and you can actually see her in Hit Me With Your Best Shot. So yeah, you guys got to go back and look at that. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Has
she
anyone
scared me.
heard from Doreen or seen Doreen over the years? I've not seen.
I am thinking of exercising my stalker's ability and trying to track her down, because
I think maybe Rasan has, but but that could have been a few years ago, even at that.
But I have to tell you, when I worked on it, my job was playing the music for the dancers. And as a fan, Brian, you could understand coming in and sitting in an empty soundstage with her and watching her work was one of the most amazing experiences I will ever have. And knowing that, watching it in the 9th season, that this was her process in the 1st season, and watching her work those things out, I will just never forget it. It's one of my favorite things. Yeah, I was terrified of her too. I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, it was amazing.
Well, she was a large part of the formula that worked with Kids Inc. And, it was Tommy and Gary. And then Doreen, she ran a portion of the show that was just ever important to the show. And I'll say this about Doreen. Yeah, she was, I may have turned around in the hallway and headed back the other direction myself from time to time. I may or may not have. I'm not going to admit anything, but no. But, the thing is, she was always short of, like, she'd get the performance though out of those kids, and you think about what a difficult task, the amount of work, the 3 episodes a week, those numbers, all those production numbers, and kids' attention spans and everything else going around, that's quite a task. And she did pull the performances out of them, short of, the old school trick of, telling a child they have to put their dog down to get him to cry in the scene or whatever. She wasn't abusive. She was a sergeant. Yeah. And then, you respected her and respected that. And she sure served the show.
Well, I think the talent that was around the show, I mean, you guys obviously, to learn that many pages now, I'm doing a show right now. I'm trying to get 6 pages a day done with the young cast, right? You guys were doing 20, like literally you were doing, and then there was the music day, and then the concert day to do those numbers was incredible. But if you looked at, like, Gary and I certainly had our position on the show, but then there was the creative forces were, I would write the stories and protect them, I guess. But then there was, between Michael Cruz, Doreen, and Jimmy Como, that was as much the secret sauce as anything, as any of us were in the whole show. Because, I mean, Jimmy kept saying things like, no, we're going to do a toy. I can do a toy shop. I go, how are you going to do that? He goes, don't worry about it. I got $32. I'm going to do a toy shop. Great set, which I'm like, okay, that's what we're doing. And he would yell at me. He would say, dude, you can't do this. You can't do this. As you guys know, I love Jimmy. He's godfather to 2 of my children and all that stuff. And I still talk to him regularly, but my God, was he mad at me all the time. Just all the time. He seemed to be mad at me. Well, I think Michael Cruz and Doreen, they had this weird, they worked off of each other. I won't say they worked together, but they were always pushing for their section of it that I think made it overall better. It really made it something magical to come to it. And then, you guys as the actors and me as a writer coming into it kind of filled in. But those 3, they were amazing. They carried a lion's share of it all.
That's what I take away is that, like, even though you were Oz behind the curtain, I mean, how reliant must you have been of Doreen and Jimmy?
100%.
I mean, without, what are you gonna do? Go in and choreograph a number, or go set the it's such a nice collaboration, or
It was really fun. That was kind of, and I was so early in my career of trying to figure out where you exert power, where you didn't. And the only place that I think I exerted it was in protecting the show. Like when MGM, I don't even know if you guys know this. We were in the end of season 1, and there's that guy, George Paris. He was from MGM. No, John Levoff. It must have been season 2, the MGM guy. And he was this very perfect executive, well-coiffed, spoken, he's just an interesting executive guy. And he came in and he said, MGM will sue you. And I went, oh, me? What for? You have not been taking our notes. I go, well, yeah, I have. And what I've been doing is they gave me script notes and I would rewrite them and send them the notes, and then I'd shoot our original version. And I didn't know that was wrong. I thought, okay, they want to see that. I didn't know that was wrong then. I was like, they were so pissed off at me. I thought they were going to kill me. But we got through that okay.
But you were a trailblazer, Tommy. Susan was kind enough to ask me to do this. I feel like maybe a year ago or whenever we did.
Almost, yeah.
And I watched her interview with you. Mm-hmm. And the whole idea about the Don Kirshner thing, how you snuck in and got in and made it happen, reminded me of the movie Almost Famous for some reason. But like, you just got in there,
right?
Maybe I want to say it was the Santa Monica Auditorium or somewhere in there.
Where it was Santa Monica Civic. That was it. Yeah.
And, you were just destined to make it. You could tell by just that capsule in your story, you were just destined to like, do it your way, And I think it's hilarious. It's like, yeah, I got your notes and here's the changes. So here's the proof I read them. Anyway, let's go shoot our show. I love that.
Yeah. Perfect.
Those were interesting times. And still to this day, I think that there's still a part of me that, I'm so grateful that they allowed me to keep working, right? I got to have a nice life out of this whole thing. And at the same time, I get so enraged when anything threatens what I'm trying to do. And I don't think it's ego. I think it's no. You guys will just screw it up. You know what I mean? You'll just screw it up. This will be better. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. So we'll see.
Yeah. You just wanted to make sure it was done right. And now that I'm listening to you speak, I don't think you ever wrote that episode about curse words and how wrong they are.
That never came out of me.
That was not a Kids Inc. lesson.
No.
I gotta tell you though, Tommy paid it forward because I wrote to him after coming to the set for several years. And I tell the story all the time. This was right before email started, and sent him a letter and said, I'm in college. I can do an internship at the news like everybody else, or I can come out there and maybe there's something I could do for you. And he called me and said, your letter showed up on a really bad day. I'm going to have you come work for me. And I went out that summer, and Brian and I worked on Shusha and then Kids Incorporated. And so where he slid in, he opened the door for everybody else, swung it open. But I was scared originally, Tommy, because you would come in every day and be like, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. Susan, order everyone pizza. And then I would order everyone pizza and it would all be okay, So.
There was a massive amount of fear. Like I had said, incredible fear inside, like, oh my God, because I had no other backup plan of what I was going to do in life. This was it. And so there was fear. So I knew the only way I could get rid of that fear was incredible bravado, which I hope over time has mellowed out into something a little more humility. I hope to God it has. But
okay, guys, is this not like one of the best birthday surprises ever? I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. I really love just listening to these guys. Fun fact, I had a whole bunch of questions prepared. I was going to try to steer it in a direction of celebration theme or, birthday theme. And really, it was just a runaway train. They started talking and it just took off on a life of its own. And I just kind of sat back and enjoyed the ride. I was like, I don't know what's happening here, but I'm just going to go with it. And the guys were fabulous. So again, just my deepest thanks to Tom Lynch, Jerry Sherrill, Brian Poth, and Moosey Dreyer. I just cannot thank you guys enough for doing this for me. You're amazing. You're so amazing. Anyway, a couple things I wanted to point out. I always want to take the opportunity to give a shout out to Eris at kidsinc.us, who does the YouTube channel. When Brian was talking about looking it up on YouTube, I kind of wanted to throw out Eris's name, but just didn't have the chance. So I always want to recognize Eris. He is always there for me when I call or send a message and say, hey, can you do this for me? Can you make this audio louder? Can you isolate this video? He always delivers. And so I feel bad that I didn't get the opportunity to mention that in the middle of the podcast. So Eris, thank you always. Second thing, it was kind of funny when Jerry was talking about Doreen and not dancing. And one of the funny things I wanted to point out was after he mentioned in Jerry's podcast about Shanice not dancing, I went back and watched the X Marks the Spot. Treasure Hunt is the production number. And it's so funny the way that Doreen choreographed that. So you didn't realize she wasn't quite the dancer that everybody else was. She was a vocalist. And so just more props to Doreen for playing to everyone's strengths and coming up with routines where you didn't notice Jerry wasn't a dancer and Shanice was more of a vocalist than a dancer. You never even notice that until someone else points it out to you. So I just wanted to say more props to her for taking everybody's strengths and playing to them in what she was tasked with choreographing. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. This podcast is probably running a little long, but I did just want to thank you guys again from the bottom of my heart. This year has completely surprised me. There were so many highs, so many lows that I just wasn't expecting, and it's been a true roller coaster. But one of the best things to come out of this last year was finding all of you guys, getting to share these stories, getting to talk with these cast members and producers, and I really, really, to quote Kids Incorporated or use a Kids Inc. pun, I truly hope this is only the beginning. So thank you guys for being here this last year. I will get more of this conversation processed as soon as possible. I love you guys. Find us on social media. Email kidsincpodcast@gmail.com. Tell me what you want to see. Tell me what you think is working. Tell me what you think is not working. You won't hurt my feelings. And just thank you again from the bottom of my heart for getting the podcast to its first birthday. I couldn't have done it without you guys. I so appreciate you. And I will see you really, really soon. Thank you so much.